what could be improved on this.
Yeah.
So here's the top. Oh, by the way, so I this is Luna 1.1, so I have versions.
Yes.
And versions and groups, as you can see at the bottom here. So there's no groups right now in the session, but in the versions, if I open session version here, you'll see that there's a version called Last Arrangement from Oliver, and this is the string arrangement. And I started going a little bit looking at it to figure out, because where we left it with Oliver was like, yo, this is great, you know, thicken it a little and then send it over. And then I opened it the session, and then he thickened it a lot because he's got lots of ideas and he's a creative dude. So as you can see in gray here, there may have been some censorship, and you may have to ready yourself for more censorship in the near future, because as we clear, especially clear the low mids and everything becomes even more present. I think we're going to find out that this, my gut feeling is that it's still too much. So,
Yeah.
so that's why you see some stuff. So this version is called Fab Review. What I propose we do is we save a new version, save the changes, and call it. So the way the versions work, for those of you who don't know, is you can see in the title bar here, Everyman main session, that's the name of the session. Fab Review, that's the name of the version. So you can have a main session and you can go wild with the versions.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. So let's call it something intelligent like Fab Mix 1.0. How's that?
I did not see that one coming.
I'm a genius when it comes to naming stuff. So there you go. Let's listen and go from there.
Every man needs a nemesis, a desert that he cannot cross, to keep the soul in wonder. The belly must have hunger. He needs the vultures. And every man needs an Everest, a mountain that he cannot climb, to keep the head humble, the hands from trouble. You can't be comfortable. Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering will serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. And that's the curse of every man. Every man needs an element.
And then it repeats, spot music. All right, so awesome. So I'm going to set myself up for success here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to insert, just for my entertainment, a mix bus.
Okay.
And actually, no, I decided against that because I wanted to show you a trick. That's what I want to do. So one of the main problems when you start mixing like this is gain staging. And so you often find yourself with too much gain because levels creep up, right? And so I'm going to show you something you could do to prevent yourself from that. And I usually mix through a mix bus, but I think here, for the sake of this exercise, we should use Luna in the way it was designed to be used.
Yeah.
And Luna is designed to be used to go to a mix bus, which is called main, and it's built in, and it's its own special object. But because it's very difficult also for me, because I'm not 100% yet used to how Luna behaves level-wise, it can be difficult to project where, say if I go to the verse here, like this, and I solo the lead vocal.
And needs a nemesis.
How loud should it be?
right?
You know,
It could be loud, it could be soft. It doesn't really.
you
There's
don't
no
know.
telling. Yeah, there's
So
no telling. Yeah.
if you don't have that built into your body, one good way of doing it is this. First, get a meter. So I'm going to use decibel, which is, I apologize, still not out, but it will be out no later than very soon. But that's my baby. I'm going to use my preset that I like. There you go. So this is going to give me an idea of where the level sits. And because I've had the privilege of being able to do this before, things tend to fall in place. But for the sake of the educational content in here, let's just look at where the track sits right now, even though the vocal is le loud.
And needs a nemesis, a desert that he cannot cross. To keep the soul.
What do you know? It's just about right, but
Yeah.
it's okay.
Because
So let's
that's the modern target, right? Is around like that third. You kind of
minus 14 LUFS is some that, I mean, for a record that's not going to have to go compete with Katy Perry, yeah, you're good. So it's going to get louder later when it grows up, but right now it's just a baby. So it doesn't have to be so loud.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put decibel here, give myself a little bit of room because there's going to be stuff on my mix bus. And here's the trick. So if you don't know where you're going to be, and the number one problem when you don't know what you're going to be level wise is headroom, right? Give yourself some headroom. So the way to do that is I use a limiter and I just jack up the gain, which is what I did here, right? So you can see that input of my limiter is at 6 dB before I've done anything.
Yeah. So you're already kind of you're giving yourself this cushion that you're working into. It's already gained up 6. So at the end of the day, you could always start trimming this down and open more headroom back up.
So what is this doing? This is doing this. If I have 6 dBs of gain on my mix bus at the end, right? When I'm going to put my vocal, if I want, I'm not going to be as tempted to jack it up because I have this 6 dBs of gain. Let me show you. I mean, this sounds very silly, but I promise you, it's a world of difference.
Yeah.
So for example, if I bypass this limiter, this is where my track is at.
And needs a nemesis, a desert that he cannot cross.
It does very little, like 0.4 dBs. Basically, that's nothing. The point here is for me to have gain at the end of my range so that I'm not tempted to push the faders. Also, because I'm going to use both the Neve console and the master tape here, I want to be able to hit those two things at the right level. If I give myself a lot of gain post Neve console and post master tape, I'm not going to hit them as hard.
Yep.
Here in the Neve, you could use the trim to decide how hard you hit the master tape, but you don't have a button to decide how hard you're going to hit the Neve because the Neve is being hit by the whole mix board.
And so if you have to go upstream and take all your faders and grab them and bring them all down in order to trim into the Neve.
Exactly, and we're not that kind of girl. We do that. We don't do things like that. So we preemptively know that we are human and labels are going to creep up, and thus give yourself some headroom. Is that clear for people? Is that way too nerdy?
I mean, it's clear to me, and this is kind of a trick I use too. Like I'm kind of in the same boat of I always start with a peak limiter, and funny enough, I use +6 as well, and then that's kind of my catch-all at the end of pulling it back down if I feel like everything's getting pushed in too much. But yeah, this is, hopefully you guys are getting this. This is gains. I mean, mixing is just really fancy gain staging, right?
Actually, the +6 comes out of a simple thing. Is there's a brand of gear, a hardware called Dangerous Music, and that I use when I'm not mixing, in Luna in the box. And the whole point of the Dangerous 2 bus is to give you 6 dBs of gain across the whole mix. Yeah. So that feeling is in my body from years of doing it. Also, the gentleman who comes up with all those designs was on this live stream. No, was on the ATR live stream, Chris Muth.
Yeah.
And once he told me, he said, mixing is the art of losing gain with style. So
I love it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It does.
So yes. So this is where we're going to start. We're going to start with a limiter on the main bus with 6 dBs again. Now, if I press play, saying go to the chorus, and I want to see how hard I'm hitting that stuff, the mix, the Neve, and the ATR.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand.
pretty wild how everything falls in place. It's amazing. Life is beautiful.
Right? Just so
Yeah.
you're just doing a little. What was it doing? Like a couple dB tops on the limiter, but you can see your VU meters on the new Summing and ATR were kind of right in the sweet spot.
Yeah. I mean, a little conservative
Mm-hmm.
for this kind of music, because this kind of music you tend to hit a little hard, but I think we're going to get there in a couple hours. So,
Nice.
so that's where we're going to start.
Awesome.
The next thing I'm going to do is set up a bus for all the strings,
Mm-hmm.
because that's a lot of management.
It's a lot of tracks to keep track of.
There's a lot of track. And
Looks like
so
that might
this
have the vocals in it too.
There's the vocals, the strings, and horns and the woodwinds.
So Fab,
all this.
as you're folding these together, when you were listening back to the mix, what are the areas for improvement that you're hearing? Like what is it that you're gonna try? What's your kind of vision, I guess, for this mix?
Well, this mix pushes a lot of buttons, right? So I hear a lot of like Bill Withers vibe, and I hear a lot of stuff like that. Right now, the vocal is so loud, right? And also the vocal is ultra dry, and which is not necessarily a problem. But for this, because the strings are pushing us into a more romantic vibe, and because the reverb is built into the strings.
Mm-hmm.
So my space lowest common denominator is how the strings sound.
Mm-hmm.
So I could decide to have keep the strings super wet and keep the rest super dry, and I would give it a modern vibe. We may do that. But the first thing I hear is the drums need to have, basically everything sounds great. I just need more vibe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's what I'm looking for. I need more vibe, and I want to use the synths more. Like, I want to not have more of them, but I want to use them to better effect.
Mm-hmm.
For the drama to get into the chorus. That's it. It's like vibe is what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
The way it sounds right now is cool, but it's not inspiring. What can we do to make it more inspiring is the question. So I'm thinking one very inspiring thing is to be able to lower all those strings with one fader. That would be super inspiring.
Yep.
So,
so inspirational.
Yeah, very inspirational. So I'm going to make a bus called All Strings. And that bus is going to go to our main. There you go. It's got a Neve on it. Why not? So that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm probably gonna do the same thing for the drums. The way I want to treat this is I'm going to imagine if I were working on a classic console, right? So I would probably have all drums bust down to something. It may actually be mono, but in case, because it's 21st century, I want to make it stereo.
Not gonna commit to the complete old school one mono drum track.
No, that's what Vance would do.
Uh-huh.
But I'm not going to do that because I don't know. We may end up in mono, but right now I have the stereo information. I think no, they're all three mono. Actually, maybe we should do it mono drum. No, I have an idea. Hold on.
Yeah, don't limit yourself. It doesn't change that much, right? Between
right, no. Check it out. He's so good. It's just not even fair.
I just want to sample that, make like 10 songs.
Yeah. If this were the 70s, this pocket would be sampled 7 million times in the next 30 years.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So I want to make a loop here so I don't have to worry about music and just focus on sound for a moment. Well, I'm thinking, so if you try and imagine Bill Withers like Use Me or that era or Lean on Me and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
There are the two ways. Either the drums were super ambient, meaning that you could hear the room around the drums, right? Like literally the studio they recorded in, or the snare bled into a ugly sounding spring, right? Mm-hmm. Or some like broken low rent piece of metal used to make reverb with. So maybe we could think of a hybrid of these two versions. Like, for example, I could, let's see, if we make a new, am I going to use, oh, I have an idea. All right, check this out. So one of my favorite plugins, by the way, I still organize my sessions like I have been organizing them in Pro Tools for the longest time. So I'm going to make two buses stereo, and both with the Neve summing on. And one I'm going to call, let's just call it Ocean. And then one I'm going to call Spring. Okay. On the Ocean one, we're going to have the Ocean Away space.
Did not see that one coming.
You know, curveballs. That's how I do.
Yeah, exactly. You're changing.
But yeah, call it Ocean and put the EMT on it, and then
then really confuse everybody. Thanks.
For the Spring, so UA has this great, unbelievable sounding spring called the BX20. I'm going to start there, and then we'll see if it gives me what I want. So those are going to be my main reverb, and I also have something called Space. I'm going to change the name of it, which is the Capitol Chambers. I'm going to call that something else. I'm going to call it Sauce. I like Sauce. So we have the Sauce, the Ocean, and the Spring. Okay. And then we may have some more stuff, but let's start with that. I'm going to go back to the drums, and before I even create tone on the drums, if I'm going to see if maybe all I'm hearing would be just space. So I'm going to put the drums in the Ocean. All right, 1 second. Here we go. And
do you have solo? Looks like you may have XOR turned on.
Oh yes, it is very possible.
So this is a feature, not a bug. It's on Latch. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you can select the solo modes between those two.
So let's save this. Already totally a different vibe. Let's see what happens with the closer mic. It's a little too beautiful. Let's make it darker. What happens if I change the mics? Aha. Without. Remember, Louis recorded this in his basement with 8 feet ceiling, and
yeah, I was just about to say that takes it out of the bedroom and literally puts it in the middle of Ocean Way.
I feel like it's a little too present, too real. Yeah. So just to make absolutely sure, let's check out some other mics. So C12s in Cardio, C12s in Omni. That's awesome, but it's too big. Let's see if I get. Oh, maybe you should try the other room, the smaller room. Let's see. Just thinking about it. Not working for me. Cardio. It sounds so real. It's insane. So I have my options are C12A, C12A Cardio. That's too nice. These. Yeah. careful with the phase of the bass drum. Maybe. I like that. I like that a lot. This is cool. We haven't explored this. What I'm doing is I'm literally starving the neve of headroom. I'm literally putting pressure on the neve.
The left, the way that the clockwise, or sorry, counterclockwise, that way, that's opening it, and that's closing. Yeah.
See this, the nice compression, and not compression, but like transient thing. And then there's the low, impedance. So far we have no EQ. We just use that. I'm curious to know what happens if maybe I could use an ATR here. Not my vibe. Let's go to 250. No, it's not working for me for this. Not what I'm looking for. They were actually more direct than, there was not that much transient shaving on those records. And I want to invoke those records. And also I want it to sound a little modern still. So more bass drum. I like this. I really dig this. So let's see if I can remove a little bit of this kind of cardboard at 200 and give it a little bit of the joy in the super low. Actually, I'll lower the problem. I dig this. I think it sounds great. And then let's see what the bass does. I dig that. So I'm moving the overhead a little bit to the right. And then I'm going to probably balance that with the guitar and leave the bass in the middle. Okay, this is great. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm thinking, first, one of the things I loved on those Bill Withers records is like this, like obnoxious, relentless, and absolutely senseless use of spring reverb. Makes no sense, but it's beautiful.
Right.
I know it's against the rules to put reverb on bass. Some people got beheaded for less than that. But just opens it. It's great. So I'm gonna do that.
So
I had
sometimes you're allowed to break the rules, especially if it kind of, with a simpler mix like this, right? It kind of actually helps the bass to give it some left-right, a little heft over here.
and
on the
also it
sides.
just puts it with the drums. Plus, you can break the rules as long as no one's watching.
Well, I got news for you, Fab. There's a
No
lot
one's
of people watching. There's a lot of people watching.
As a reminder, I had put this on the bass. This is the Vertigo distortion thing. So without the Vertigo and the bass and the reverb, with the Vertigo, that sounds nice. We could see what happens if I push the saturation on the tape. That sounds quite lovely. And then with the bass, with the reverb. Just to show you, you can identify it. This is what the space I'm putting on the bass is. Get rid of, instead of using the solos, I'm going to mute the other stuff. So all strings gone, vocals.
Is this kind of your preferred? What do you prefer? Kind of muting everything and then opening things back up, or kind of working?
It depends. It depends on the track load. Like if it's easy for me to navigate, I want to be able to move quick and be intuitive. In this case, for example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a group for all the background vocals like this. So groups is Command G, which is a tremendous choice. Backvox group, and here you can decide if you want the group to apply to editing, so for editing, for mixing, or for inserts. And when you apply for inserts, it syncs up parameters on the plugins, which is nice for background vocals. If you want to high pass 25 tracks of background vocals, you put the same plugin on the same insert, and then you high pass the first one, and they all follow. It's nice.
It's very convenient.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so let's see. Mute those guys. And the selection group, by the way, so now Luna has both, Pro Tools style groups where you can, even if they're not selected, you can still apply processing to those and mute in solos and stuff like that. And also selection group, Logic style, when you select those three things, if selection group is on, I can move these together just for this moment. So it's actually, they managed to make it the best of both worlds. It's nice. So I'm going to mute the oohs. Let me make sure. I think these all go to the ooh. The ooh in Ouville.
Almost all of them. Looks like two of them skipped out on the bus.
Somehow they decided to do their own thing, but
it's actually kind of one of the things I love about the output assignment in Luna is the fact that it has the color on it as well.
Yes,
makes it so easy to tell what's going to your main and what's not.
Absolutely. Mute the guitars for now. Let's do the bongos. So the bongos definitely need saturation. And the reason why they need saturation is to make them less real. We want everything to have a sheen and a vibe and a distance of sorts. I think that the ocean is going to help on this.
Well, the ocean too, it's going to just kind of help bring all these elements together into the room. It's physically putting them in that room at Ocean Way together through the mics.
Yeah. There's also a tendency to put springs on unsuspecting percussions. tambourine, but it's another bongo. I do. That's interesting.
Is it a copy paste? It might just be a version thing.
It's a version thing. Wow, versions moved. I think somebody I sent this session to moved my cheese. This looks edited. Let's use this one.
I remember that, Phil.
That's a bongo. That's a nice bongo, right? So that means that this is probably V5. There you go. And then this one, where does it become tempo? There. Here. That synth hit, I'm gonna use the hell out of that synth hit.
I was like, those have been kind of tucked in the entire time we've been listening to the rough.
Yeah.
I knew they were just waiting for their day to jump out.
Yeah, today's the day. See, like how close this is? But I can push it back. Get rid of those synths for now. So that extra oomph that I added at the bottom of the ocean, now that I'm the bottom of the ocean, now that I am putting so much stuff in the bottom of the ocean, including myself, this is too much, and it's making it muddy. Like this better. This is my mix bus I'm looking at right now. Let's look at 250 instead. Like 15 better, half inch. A little too nice, 1 inch. Better, quarter inch. I dig this.
Yeah.
Suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand.
So this is the part.
And that's the curse of every.
That's the part where we use a de-esser. The Precision de-esser by a brand we know well.
Prints in the sand, prints in the sand, prints in the sand.
Let me solo this. It has a solo button. Okay, remove the solo button.
Prints in the sand,
Without.
prints in the sand,
With.
prints in the sand,
Could even use a tiny bit more.
prints in the sand.
There you go. That happened. Why took us so long? And then, so if we picture the record, and then we have the drummer say here, and then the bass player hanging here, and then I want Louis like way up front, right? Playing his guitar. So let's see. And because I like mnemonics, I like things to be easy. I put the ocean first, and then I put the spring second. So I'm going to put the sauce third in the accents. So
Gotcha.
that's the strings. So Louis is here in red, and I'm going to put the sauce on like this.
Prints in the sand. Suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. And that's the curse of every man.
So we're using chamber 4 because Al does that. But what if we listen to the others for a change?
Prints in the sand.
A little too bright. 5.
Prints in the sand. Suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand.
7.
Prints in the sand. Suffering.
I'm not it's just not, I don't know, not what I want for today. I've used this on 800,000 mixes, but not today. Let's try.
What is it about it that it's not feeling for you today?
It feels a little too hi-fi. It feels like, I know you. You know what I mean? It feels like, hey, listen to me. I'm here. Listen to me. So I don't want that. Why I don't want it, I don't know. But let's try this guy. That's the other surefire happening thing.
Prints in the sand. Suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a bunch of people who say, well, you kidding? The champ is so much better, dude. Get a day job. Hold on. I just did something stupid. Let's put the chambers back. I want to compare us both.
Yeah.
This is my day job.
You can just undo. Plugin assignments are part of the undo queue.
I probably haven't.
I know you get so used to it not being that way.
What did he just complain about?
Because you have ARM mode turned on, so it's still trying to load those into the console auxes.
We don't have to arm anything.
Prints in the sand.
This is a no arm environment. Okay, so let's see.
Prints in the sand. Suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to
I have both on right now. So
prints in the sand.
The A, I can never get A to go.
Prints in the sand.
But I can always get B to go. Let's give C a shot.
Prints in the sand. Suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand.
Oof. Just love it. Hold on. Louis just wrote.
Real-time mix feedback.
Louis, why don't let me ruin your song and then come later to make your comments, like in 30 minutes or 40 minutes. How's that? And I love it when I can talk to you, but you can't answer.
Of course,
I'll put this here. You can answer here, answer here.
Prints in the sand.
Everything is going so fast.
Prints in the sand. Suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to.
I don't know. I just dig this. Let's listen to the chambers again.
Prints in the sand.
Sorry.
Suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand.
It's just too dense.
So
no. This is
Prints in the sand.
Yeah.
Suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. And that's the curse of every man. Prints in the sand. Suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. And that's the curse of every man.
So let's keep it there for a second. And then I need a little bit of steadiness. So I'm going to use probably one of these guys.
Prints in the sand. Suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. And that's the curse of every man. Every element. A fear that he may lose control.
I have another idea for the reverb. So this is where you decide basically what decade your record lives in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with this, prints in the sand, suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to.
And when they just got those reverbs, like, wow, this is awesome. And then what if we did something?
Prints in the sand, suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. Prints in the sand, suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand.
Let's try B. Super short.
Prints in the sand, suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. Prints in the sand.
Sounds like this so you can hear it.
Prints in the sand, suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand.
In the sauce.
Prints in the sand, suffering, you serve a purpose that.
Without.
Prints in the sand, suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. And that's the curse of every man.
So that gives it a more modern vibe. But then we can have the ocean a little bit.
Prints in the sand, suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. And that's the curse of every man. Every man needs an element, a fear that he may lose control. To keep the heart sacred, escape the mazes, he must be vulnerable.
Escape the mazes. We changed that one word. Can't hear it. So that's just all working pretty nicely. Do we have any questions that I should address? Did I go too fast on something?
Jamie says, put the capital back, Fab, LOL.
Yes, absolutely. I'll put the capital punishment back on something.
No, a lot of people really did love the tip that we did right at the beginning with the limiter as
yes.
Mix. There was a bunch of people who were like, oh, they've used the mix bus trick before of having a bus before it, but this trick of starting with the limiter already kind of cranked up a bit to give yourself that headroom. People are really dug that trick.
Okay, so the thing is, the simpler the better.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you are going for something very particular, the simpler the better. And then Luna gives you these colors, the ATR and the Neve summing, that already do a lot of what we spend a lot of time doing, maybe with plugins in other packages. The fact that it's built into the mix bus here, it's important that you teach yourself how Luna feels gain stage wise. And I'm still learning because I worked for, and I still work in Pro Tools for some stuff. It's 15 years of mixing in Pro Tools. So when I move a fader in Pro Tools, I know what's going to happen. I feel it. I don't even know. I just feel it. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, the vocal's too soft. There's no discussion of like, oh, let's just raise it 1 dB. I just know because of the mix bus and everything, I know I can raise it 0.2 and I'll be where I want.
Yeah.
It takes a while to learn those things. Mm-hmm. And it's important that you give yourself the ability to learn in good conditions. And so lack of distortion is a great situation to be able to learn how something works. And so hitting the Neve summing too hard or hitting the ATR too hard is not a good look. Mm-hmm. And so if you give yourself that gain, you're able to really listen to how everything works.
Yeah, it helps helps encourage you to stay in the little bit cleaner side of both of those, because I hear exactly what you're saying of like, we're so used to one-to-one moves, right? Where like make a fader move over here, it's exactly what you get over here. The nature of Neve summing and the ATR is that they're non-linear. They necessarily they push back. Yeah. So you push a half dB into it, you're getting kind of a half dB, but plus some saturations, maybe trimming some transient, like you're getting a slightly different response back out of it. So you do have to be so much more conscious of how you're going into those.
Until it becomes part of your consciousness, like
Mhm.
naturally. I'm not there because I haven't been using it long enough for me to have the same automatic feel. However, there's this warmth and this instant gratification of working this way. And that's why if you notice my mix bus, there's basically nothing.
Yeah, I was
There's
like,
the neat, and it still sounds bananas. So let's actually get a vibe from say the top where we at right now.
Every man needs a nemesis, a desert that he cannot cross. To keep the soul in wonder, the belly must have hunger. He needs the vultures.
It's a bit too much compression, maybe. Let's go to the first verse.
Man needs a nemesis, a desert that he cannot cross. To keep the soul in wonder, the belly must have hunger. He needs the vultures. And every man needs an Everest, a mountain that he cannot climb. To keep the head humble, the hands from trouble, he can't be comfortable. Man needs a nemesis, a desert that he cannot cross.
So on the guitar,
oh, full crash.
the RX-8.
There we go. Your mic just came back.
Yeah, so the RX-6 denoiser that I have. Oh, the analog for the RX-6 denoiser is not plugged in.
That'll
I
do
am
it.
Bad children. Hold on, let me plug that in over there. Sorry, we had to denoise something in the other room, and Daniel's my RX-6. So I'm going to plug this in, and life is going to be great again.
All right. So while Fab's plugging that in, I see. You guys have a couple of questions about pre-fader sends and why to not use pre-fader sends.
Yeah.
If you're anything like me, Fab, it's one more thing to keep track of, that if you move those faders, you don't necessarily change the distance or how much is being thrown into the reverb if you're using a pre-fader, right?
Right. So the thing with pre-fader sends is they're designed to be so that the amount of reverb or whatever you're sending with a fader is proportional to your level.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go pre-fader, you keep raising your vocal, but your reverb stays at the same level because it's pre-fader. It doesn't listen to how much louder the vocal is. So in theory, the default should be post-fader.
Mm-hmm.
Now, those of you who've seen me do things like this before, let me see where we at. Oh, look, we lost nothing. Life is good. So that's because Luna saves all the time at all times. Let me see if I can open it now. So much happier when you have the
There we go. When it has its license available.
Yeah. So basically, if you've seen me mix before, and I was about to do that, I use pre-fader sands to do parallel sands for parallel compression. Why? Because I like to have a different mix into the parallel compressor than I do in the regular bus.
Mm-hmm.
You could also use pre-fader sands if you want to do special effects.
Yeah.
Where you send so much into the reverb, and then you control the presence of the direct signal. But overall, it's probably easier to keep track of what's going on and to be aware of what you're doing if you keep your sans post fader.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
At least that's the way it works for me.
Yeah, which makes total sense. And that, yeah, the goal here is to keep track of what's going into what, keep track of your level management going into those things. But that being said, there are some really good times to use pre-fader, as Fab mentioned.
I'll show you a pre-fader sand trick in a second.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go back to where we were.
And needs a nemesis, a desert that he cannot cross.
I really dig the echo, but I think it needs a little bit of ocean.
To keep the soul in wonder, the belly must have hunger. He needs the vultures. And every man needs an Everest, a mountain that he cannot climb. To keep the head humble, the hands from trouble, he can't be comfortable. Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering will serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. And that's the curse of every man. Every man needs an element, a fear that he may lose control. To keep the high.
Maybe it'd be interesting. I'm sorry, I'm getting lost. I should tell you what I'm doing. So I'm getting lost in the music. So the here I was just trying to create an image, like just these tiny little changes. Where is this going to be? How far is it going to be? Lower the bass drum a little bit. The bass drum, now that things are falling in place with the guitar, I felt its presence could drop in the spectrum a little, not have so much of this and more like that. And so that allowed to make the mix taller. Is the bongo in the right place? I don't think so. I think we could do something, but I'm curious to know what happens if we give a little bit of Fairchild vibe on the drums. So this is in solo without the Fairchild.
And needs a nemesis, a desert that he cannot cross.
It's clearly too much. Faster.
And needs a nemesis, a desert that he cannot cross. The soul in wonder, the belly must have hunger. He needs the vulture.
Smooth things out quite a bit. Let's see.
And needs a nemesis, a desert that he cannot cross.
Without, same.
And needs a nemesis, a desert that he cannot cross.
With.
And needs a nemesis, a desert that he cannot cross.
Puts it together neatly. I like that. So we're going to keep that like this. It does what I thought the master tape was going to do, but it didn't in this particular case. Let's go to the chorus and look at the other guitars. Let's see. Just do that.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering will serve a.
So I'm going to make a let's make a chorus guitar group and make it so that the inserts also speak like this. And then I'm going to put, what would I put on this? Let's see. Well, first I would put the 800 for sure.
What's the 800 doing for you?
Saturating transients. check out the presence and how real it sounds. With it's just a little dreamier. I don't know how to explain more. Let's see if the 250 is better. You never know, it might happen.
Serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man. Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering will serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand.
Immediately when I put this on the chorus, the vocals is getting a little buried. So the temptation is to go where's the vocal. But if we could try and not do that, maybe we would achieve something.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering will serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand.
What if they had too much reverb? You never know. It could happen.
In the sand. Suffering will serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man.
And I like how things become more present after checking out.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering will serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand.
Without the reverb?
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering. Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering will serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man. Happiness.
I'm digging this. I'm digging this.
That's really
good. Train a back wall. The vocals is not buried. It opens up the chorus, but then when it goes back to the verse here,
that's the curse of every man. Every man needs an element that he may lose control.
I think this a lot.
Yeah.
The vocal needs just a little smidgen more presence. Here we go.
That's the curse of every man. Every man needs an element, a fear that he may lose control. To keep the heart sacred, escape the mazes, he must be vulnerable. Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man. Even though I say I want the best, what I get is so.
The bottom of the bongo is bothering me. So if I listen to it in the sauce with everything,
that's the curse of every man.
I mean that on the choruses.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man. Even though I say I want the best, what I get is so much less. It's my utmost.
Okay, so that's a different universe. Let's stay in our original universe to start with. So top.
nemesis.
I'm gonna have to write that vocal, or I'm gonna have to compress it a little more. So, because right now it feels too loud. I want it to be more tucked in, but later it didn't feel so loud. So we'll see. Just let it sit for a second. Let's listen to that synth. Wow. Love it. I don't know. I think Capitol Chambers.
But this time you're just inserting it right on the track.
Yeah, because I wanted to. I'm probably going to screw with it in unspeakable ways.
That's what I like to see. The wet solo button.
Yeah. I'm just. It needs to calculate for a second because it's IR. Oof. That's ridiculous sounding. It really sounds like it. It's crazy. Let's try this. Yeah, dark. Okay, so now. Without. With. Maybe even less decay. Which is no longer Capitol Chambers, but it's fun.
Every man needs a nemesis, a desert that he cannot cross. To keep the soul in wonder, the belly must have hunger. He needs the vultures. Every man needs an Everest, a mountain that he cannot climb.
So I'm going to put the chambers last. I propose that we try the Moog filter for that one segment. This is what I had in mind the whole time. And go here and find the spot here.
Vultures. Every man.
And then make it, let's find the Moog filter and find the cutoff and just make it be something special. Like, would I go from 0? I don't think I would go from 0. Come on. Definitely with this. Sorry, there. And maybe it's for Zendo. Pew!
Vultures. Every man needs an Everest.
Get rid of the grid. I'm not a good grid person. It's difficult for me to work with grid.
You and grid don't get along.
It's not really. It's not really my my thing, and I'm still getting used to this automation system that I am learning, and I don't want this point. I don't want to name this. Let me get rid of this.
Are you trying to delete that point?
I'm trying.
Hold Control and click on it. You'll see the little thing. You get the eraser.
There you go.
Yep.
Let me do my thing. See, that's the thing about learning stuff and also switching. This is what I want.
He needs the vultures. Every man.
It's exactly what I want, but not so drastic. As for Zendo like this, that goes from here and maybe here.
He needs the vultures. Every man needs an Everest. He needs the vulture.
It holds.
The nemesis. A desert that he cannot cross.
Oh.
To keep the soul in wonder, the belly must have hunger. He needs the vultures. Every man needs.
Yeah, this is gonna be bananas.
Yeah.
So, but it can't go so far, and it needs to wait a little bit and then go.
The nemesis. Every man needs.
A little lower. Come on.
Every man
Yeah.
needs an Everest.
Just what I wanted for Christmas. And here. So this could be a little more gentle. The energy should be later.
Happiness.
Even later. Okay, it's gonna go.
Yeah, the drawing gets hard once you have points in there. If you're trying to draw next to the points, it just wants to erase them.
I got it.
There you go.
Happiness has left a footprint in
That's great. And there's this one.
the ball.
This is the third time we hear this, so we have a little we have more leeway as to what we're gonna do. And this one should go up.
Ball.
But still.
Ball.
There's strings behind this, so that's gonna be rad.
Hunger. He needs the vultures. Every man needs an Everest. A mountain that he cannot climb.
There's one more thing. There's a pad here.
Is that I'm yet to. That's the curse of every man. Happiness has left a footprint in the sand. Suffering, suffering.
By the way, for those of you who weren't there that day, this is shape.
It's just a preset in there, right?
So good.
So pretty.
Let's see. So I'm curious to know. I think this is a job for sauce.
Suffering serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man. Even though I say I want the best, what I get is so much less. 'Cause my utmost ain't enough to call humanity. And every time I reach the top, my motivation all but stops. And I go right back to the source of my insanity. Happiness has left a footprint in the sand. Suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man. Ooh, bends up.
I think it needs a little maybe the studio there. It needs a little kind of like girdle corset control thing. Can't take it. So not that. Or let's just try a classic thing. Actually, it's probably more 1176. Let's try.
left her footprints in the sand.
No, it doesn't. Let's try the 1176, the A.
So we, in a sense, what you're trying to do with the adding some compression, or the try to
saturation, and to just have it be kind of like a band in the middle and steady, so it doesn't do that thing it does.
Yeah.
Happiness has left.
I'll solo it so you can hear.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand.
Still not liking it.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering.
But I get better.
It's gotten closer.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man. Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering serve a purpose that I'm.
The combo of the two is cool. Let's see if some distance would help.
Serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man. Even though I say I want the best.
By the way, I just, because I'm like zoning in onto the music, I hit Command S, because whenever something feels good, I hit Command S, because I've been working in Pro Tools for so many years. That's what you do. So to make sure you're able to.
Are you saving yourself? Are you saving bookmarks along the way then as you're doing that, or are you just dismissing it?
I just dismissed it, but I think it would be interesting to have this discussion, because I get questions on so many channels. What is the difference between a version and a bookmark? Good question. Thank you for asking. Well, basically, it's for it. My vision. Don't quote me on this. I don't have a UA T-shirt. I don't have a black T-shirt. But the way I look at it, I don't know what Connor's and Lev's and Ryan's vision was, but for me, it's two levels. I'm using them as two levels of consciousness. So, when you finish your mix, right? And you have to do stems. And so you have to do an a cappella, and then you have to do a instrumental, then you have to do a TV track, and then you have to do, so and then sometimes you have to do a new version of the mix, and then sometimes, so often in most traditional packages or DAWs, you have to save a new version of the session file for every one of those things. And so it can be messy here on your hard drive, especially, like, and also it's very depressing. You go to your hard drive and you have 32 versions of the same song. It's just horrible. So so the way I function, the flexibility of having two levels of basically snapshots, right, is great. The way I decided I was going to exploit this two-level system until further notice, until I've tried it for a while and I know it's good as this. I name my session main session now. So Everyman main session. And then one version may be production and production and production. And so I would use a version for major shifts. So for example, version 1 is going to be production. It's going to be called production, and it's going to have production 1.0 and production 1.1 when I change something major. And then I will do a save version as and have a mix thing. So it would be like Fab Mix 1.0. And then if I do this and I come back tomorrow, I will save a new version in FabMix 1.1. Within those versions, if there's several, within those versions, if there's several snapshots I need, I use bookmarks.
Yeah.
And that way I can indent that. I can keep my brain to know that if it's a new version, it's a major thing. But for example, within the work, I could say, okay, we like where the mix is at right now. Bookmark it.
Yep.
We like this. So Command S. We like this.
It's like that's what I've been doing. I'm using bookmarks. I'm not giving them formal names anymore. It's just like a quick little description of what moment I'm at, or like you know, just got the vocal sound I like, or you know, the drums are cool here, but I want to try something. Like I kind of write because it just becomes notes to yourself, right? Especially bookmarks are not seen by anybody. Versions, you know, when you open up the session, you can see at the top of Fab Session now it says Fab Mix 1.0. When you do bounce to disk, when you export this file, it'll automatically have FabMix 1.0. So it's automatically using the version name as part of your naming structure. But bookmarks are just for you. They're just for you to have a point to get back to if you want to be adventurous and try something, or if you just kind of want to leave yourself a little narrative along the way of like, how did this mix progress? How was I feeling? Maybe I go back to, you know, 30, 40 minutes ago and want to see what that's like. It gives you that ability to check in on different stages of progress.
Exactly. And the thing is, we use bookmarks for deliverables. So within FabMix, you know, 73.5, the 750th recall of the song, we're done. Everybody's happy. The artist is cool. Usually the way I make absolutely sure there's going to be no recalls, I wait until mastering.
Yeah.
But that doesn't always work. I just got a recall after mastering last week. So it's okay. And once that's done, then you bookmark. And then you have a bookmark that says, okay, a cappella, and a bookmark that says instrumental. So you don't have to go do the work. If you want to do it again, you can hit that bookmark within FabMix 75.3. You hit the a cappella bookmark, and everything is done. If you need to do another version, it's pretty nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
So that's what. So we just save the bookmark that say we like this. I hope we like this. Do we like this?
It's like hopefully you like. I'm loving it over here. It's amazing how with like it feels like very little moves. You've already kind of developed the sound of it. It's gotten clear. Like each track is now getting its own space.
There's very little going on.
There's so little going on, but man, the definition and clarity of each track and the depth that you're kind of creating as an ensemble, it's there without. I've noticed a very serious lack of lots of compressors, lots of EQ. Like there's just not a ton of processing really needed.
I'm not trying to make this loud. I'm trying to make this deep and vibey, you know.
Man needs a nemesis.
Also, if we want to look at the actual dynamic range of this, we can.
Man needs a nemesis, a desert that he cannot cross, to keep the soul in wonder, the belly.
It's kind of perfect, and then let's just go somewhere where it gets loud.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Silver ring, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man. Ooh, pins in the sand. Purpose that I'm yet to.
I mean, this is maybe 1 or 2 dB softer than what I would have to deliver a pop record at, you know, and there's no compression.
Yeah.
And so the limiter is taking care of that. So now the limiter is working.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Silver ring, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man.
But I don't really hear it doing, you know, offensive things at all. It sounds
like it's not hurting. It's
no.
Happiness.
Yeah, it's great. And then you see that both the Neve summing and the ATR are well within their happiness range.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Silver ring, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand.
If I want to ease up, I can. Now I have my balance, right? and then I know that my summing and my ATR are in the right spot, I can ease up. I can say, okay. So this is the important thing. Say I want to back up a couple dBs. Now you're going to listen to it 2 dB softer. Your first reaction is going to be that it's not as good.
Yeah.
So what you have to do is you raise your monitors 2 dBs.
Everybody at home, turn up your volume knobs. Just probably
2
one
dBs.
click. Yep, 2 dBs.
Yeah, one click-ish, and then listen to it again.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse.
So here's the thing, is that what the limited did is it provided some of the shaving off the edges, right? So to me, right now when I listen to this, I miss some of what it was doing. I like the definition, but I miss some of what it was doing. So maybe we're trying in between 5.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man.
That's nice because it lets him soar on Everyman. And then if I go back to 6.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man.
I'm gonna dig 5. Let's do 5. And go from there.
Nice.
What's I like this.
I was like, what's so we've kind of got the core of the tracks here now. So essentially, it's getting all the background vocals and the strings and horns to now.
Exactly.
Complement.
I think we could release this. We could release this as a record. This is a good song. We need to move. Maybe open the reverb up on the chorus and stuff like that. But before we go to that, let's. The chorus was relying on doubles, so let's open those.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand.
So I'm gonna edit this this group. I think I should edit this group and pull them out of the group. Should I do that? Let's see.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering will serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man.
I think that when Oliver got the session, some of the MIDI went flying a little, because I have the firm belief that this should be playing the whole chorus. You know, is that? And I sent the session to Oliver before versions were a thing, so I was not able to secure my versions in peace. Let's see.
Happiness has left her footprints in the
This is moved. I will fix it by doing a classic copy paste.
The old copy paste.
Yes. Like this.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering will serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man.
This makes more sense. So now I can go back to focusing on my background vocals.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering will serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man.
I was a little cavalier.
a little overzealous with the group assignment there.
Yes. I have no fear. I'm going to call this one doubles and put this in like this. And I did something silly. What it is, I don't know yet. No, this is right. So cool. Let's see.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand.
And I'm removing the doubles from the background vocal group so that I can work in peace here and maybe give them their own space.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering, you serve a purpose that
The de-esser would be very useful.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. And that's the curse of every man. Happiness has left her footprints in the sand.
As you can see, I selected inserts as one of the parameters of the group for the lead and the triple, for the double and the triple. And I put the Oxford on it. It put it on both. And then when I raise the filter on one, it raises the filter on the other. It's really great to have that.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering, serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand.
So I'm high passing the background vocals so they don't take so much space and they can just be nice support. See what they sound like with a little compression.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering, serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand.
What if they went into the spring?
What?
What if they did that without
What?
permission?
Oh my God.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man. Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering, you serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man.
I think that.
Every man.
It's nice. So we had this thing called ooh. Actually, why don't we? Yes, we have these oohs, which go to the ooh bus. This is the ooh bus, and the oohs sound like this.
Serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand.
So I know that they're too thick, so I'm going to copy the Oxford, and I don't think I need a compression on that. And I think I'm going to do spring on this too. And it would sound like this. And then to be able for them to be more discernible without making them too much louder, I'm going to raise the high end.
Prints in the sand. Suffering, serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man.
Synth is a little loud now.
Prints in the sand. Suffering, serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man.
I'm going to come back here.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man.
I don't know why. I feel like putting phaser on this. What do we have for phaser? Who makes a phaser in our collection? A good one.
A good phaser. There's the MXR flanger doubler gets a little phasey. There's a cyclonic.
Yes.
That's,
That thing's silly.
yeah.
Let's do that. Okay. Where is he? Hi. I
It's
know how
under
to
the
speak
Ds,
Cyclone.
yeah. It's like the D-sonic or something like that. Disonic. There it is.
Cyclonic core. This. I'm going to do something with this. This is cool. I love it when you get what you want, like that.
So fast.
I love it. This is great.
Happiness has left your footprints in the sand. Suffering serve a purpose.
See, it gives it this weird thing, and so now they have their space, and they're not fighting the rest. I love this. This is great. So cool. Sold. Don't need to save. Luna saves for you. So this synth climb is a bit much. I like the filter of it. It's just too loud. So we should go to the volume and automate that. That's fine. Snap. Like that. See? Maybe less, right? Like this.
Happiness has left your footprints in the sand. Suffering serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man. Even though I say I want the best, what I get is so much less. It's my utmost.
So the rest of all the sauce from that bridge comes from the strings now. And then let's listen to this.
Amen. Happiness, suffering, just have a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man.
That's Will.
And that's the curse of every man.
All right, so let's put all this stuff in a group.
So how do you pick and choose between when you want to bust things together to share processing like this versus just using the groups and copying the inserts across multiple tracks?
That is a very good question. What went through my head? I wanted it to, this moment, what went through my head is I would like all this to be easy to manage and to sound like one thing. So I was in the process of making a bus.
Yeah, which kind of assists with like bringing things together, being able to compress, EQ them as one, and then you end up with a single fader that now gives you this like, how much of those do I need throughout the chorus?
And also I can put the master tape on it. And the Neve.
Yeah.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand.
But it does need the de-esser, big time. So I'm going to put it on the mix bus first, the sub mix bus, if you will.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man.
See?
Amen. Happiness left her footprints in the sand. Suffering serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. Amen. Happiness left her footprints in the sand. Suffering serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. Amen. Happiness left her footprints Happiness is left with footprints in the sand. Suffering should serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. Happiness is left with footprints in the sand. Suffering should serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man. That's happiness is left with footprints in the sand. Suffering should serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man. That's the curse of every man. That's the curse of every man. Happiness.
So let's get a review. So, oh, sorry. I got lost again. So here the point was to try and keep the pocket going while adding more layers, but to not have it caved in. The other thing was to make this choir, if you will, not overpower the lead vocal, but to provide support for it.
Happiness is left with footprints in the sand. Suffering should serve a purpose.
Like a whisperer, like there's like a bunch of people like whispering behind him. So I try and lo-fi them by using the ATR, a 250 tape, slow speed, tiny tape.
Happiness is left with footprints in the sand. Happiness is left with footprints.
It becomes more present.
Happiness is left with footprints in the sand.
By the way, when you DS background vocals, especially if somebody sends you a printed stereo pair of background vocals and the S is up the top, if the background vocals are really doubling something else, you can be crazy on a de-esser because the lead will take care of the S.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing more annoying than listening to a track on headphones and on the chorus like sha.
Yeah, right into the left, right.
Really don't like that. So I tend to be not super metrosexual with the de-esser on background vocals. So that was the rationale behind that. And then I copied the compressor to just put them back a little. And give them more steadiness, so the whole thing round like rolls, kind of like a pack of things. This is, for some reason, in my personal taste, my fantasy is to make mixes where everything is just so defined, and you can hear everything. You can almost touch everything. That's my natural instinct. In this particular case, I think it needs to be a little messier, a little rounder, a little more buoyant. And not so documentary and like pinpointy. And I think that's been my instinct on this for some reason, which I'll think about later. Why am I feeling this way on this? I don't know, but I am definitely feeling this way on this. Top. I gotta fix this. This is driving me crazy. That second snare. No. It's actually not the snare, it's the guitar.
Nothing a little nudge can't help.
Somebody had too much coffee. Could not possibly be me.
Must have been that guitar player. We'll never work with him again.
It's not my fault. I didn't do it. This has been driving me crazy for weeks. Now I fixed it. Happiness again.
Every man needs a nemesis, a desert that he cannot cross.
Oh.
To keep the soul in wonder, the belly must have hunger. He needs the vultures.
I'd like to try one more thing. Vibe-wise, all felt great until the vocal came in. I was like, I don't know. So what if we had a little something like this? Call it slap. It's not going to be a real slap, but it's going to have a slappy vibe.
Slap-like qualities.
Yes. And I want it to be like super dark. So let's try that. And let's do.
But also, I just want to highlight too the process that you're now in. Like you've kind of got almost all the elements cooking in the mix.
Mhm.
Went back to the top, started fresh again, and then it's almost like you got to listen to it for the first time. So now that vocal,
Yeah.
it struck you as like, oh no, it's actually I liked it 10 minutes ago in the chorus, but here at the beginning, it's not special enough, so it needs.
Yeah.
That's
What
when you
bothered
start
me is
searching, right?
that it was a little academic sounding to me. It didn't have a real kind of, I don't know, vibe. It felt like, oh, it was all very correct. But I didn't feel like I was listening to something special.
And needs a nemesis.
Now that's special. You know what I'm saying?
Down the
Yeah.
black hole of delay.
And needs a nemesis. A desert that he cannot cross. To keep the soul in wonder, the belly must.
That is interesting to me.
And needs a nemesis. A desert that he cannot cross. To keep the soul in wonder, the belly must have hunger. He needs the vultures. Every man needs an Everest, a mountain that he.
Do you think I would get hate mail if I may, but if I use like the panner here, is that it's against the rules, right?
No, dude, I don't know. This is weird that you've pulled up two of the Diatronic plugins. I've been geeking on these for like the last couple of weeks, especially the panner.
Oh,
It's so
it
much.
is very tempting.
It makes the stereo feel just so much.
This plugin I don't really know that well. Well, that's a little over the top. So let's see. Ooh la la! Look at all that stuff. Ping pong. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We were made for each other. Yeah, you complete me. All right. Let's see. But just for that one thing. Oh yeah. This is gonna be awesome. How about, would it benefit from here? Sorry.
Every man.
Woo, mama. What if it's a little faster?
Every man.
It was more interesting like this. Wow, this is awesome. So could it go like this?
Every man.
Oh yes, it could. Oh yes, it could. Absolutely could do that. That would be perfectly fine. So, but only for that moment. So we're gonna go here, and I haven't done this before, but here's the panner.
There should be a power. It might be the one labeled effect.
Okay, effect on off. Yeah. We already have that, but this time I want to see the panner, and I want to see the effect. And so now it's going to be on here and off here. I'm still not used to this. Let's see.
So I mean, for an on-off thing like this, probably the easiest way would be to select all the area that you want to do, and then
oh yeah, that's right.
Pull down, especially since this one you're not trying to do a curve.
I am not trying to do a curve. I just want it to turn on and off. I'm hearing stuff. Is it in your?
Yeah.
Okay.
Working from home. It's my wife in the other room.
Who is not working from home? And
right.
Can I do that? Wait, no. I've set up my whole life to work from home. Hold on. There you go. In theory, yes.
You must have. Every man needs an Everest.
That is just sexy. Okay, cool.
Man, the panner, it's a trip, man. You should play with that one more often because it also
Oh,
not only does left right, but you can do you see how it's got the LEDs to go behind you. It can do crazy phase stuff.
Right. I just wanted this to be a little cheesy in a good way.
Yep.
You know, cheese is good. Coming, you know what I mean. Cheese is good. Let's see how it feels from a distance.
To keep the head humble, the hands from trouble. You can't be comfortable. Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering will serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. And that's the curse of every man. Every man needs an element, a fear that he may lose control. To keep the high.
I'm curious to know what would happen if I use a little bit of the API 2500 on the mix bus, so that when the chorus comes in, it pushes against something. Because right now it just kind of like whoosh.
Happiness.
Perfect, tasteful and everything.
It's so perfect.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering will serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering will serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. And that's the curse of every man. Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering will serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand.
Let's see if it holds true here.
Man needs a nemesis, a desert that he cannot cross. Man needs a nemesis, a desert that he needs a nemesis, a desert that he cannot cross.
So what it does is it basically allows to line up things a little more. It's subtle, but it's nice. But then when the chorus comes, we go from here.
Comfortable. Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering will serve a purpose that I'm yet
As opposed to without.
comfortable. Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering.
So it sounds good, but we lose a little bit of the pocket. And so with the compressor, with a wide open attack and the link, which means the side chain being high passed, then it's not going to react to the bass drum as much, and thus it's going to let the pocket stay anchored. If you listen to the bass drum and snare drum relationship in the verse and the chorus, they stay family. Whereas without the compressor, I lose a little bit of that bite on the chorus.
Hands from trouble.
This is with.
Hands from trouble. You can't be comfortable. Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering will serve a purpose that I'm yet. Hands from trouble. You can't be comfortable. Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering will serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. And that's the curse of every man.
It's a little, much, but I like the
Hands from trouble. You can't be comfortable. Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering is serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. And that's the curse of every man.
I dig it. Oh, oops. See, I dig it. Command S.
Command S, exactly.
That feels good. Like when my body hits the Command S, that means that, this feels good. And so when I say it's too much, we got to be clear. It's too much for my taste. This is where some people would start, and they get really great results. This is what my aesthetic likes. If you like more compression, it's all good.
Yeah. Well, and this is that's kind of the nice thing about putting it on at this stage, right? Is that we've been sitting here listening to it for a couple hours, like we've been building it towards something that we like, and now you identify a real need to actually put a mix bus compressor on, to put something there.
My original, sorry to cut you off. My original ego-driven bullshit attitude was like, I'm gonna mix this without a compressor. And depending on the choices and whatever I have for breakfast this morning, which was nothing actually, then I may or may not have gotten to where I wanted to be. But I'm hearing is pushing me in that direction. Like I wanted to hear this steadiness coming on the chorus, and I could have achieved that a couple ways. Number one, what I just did, or maybe automating the drums up a half dB on the chorus, and it would have done that. But I also this is a new discovery of mine. I really like the sound of this plugin. So all my recent mixes, I've had this on them, and I really dig it. I used to have nothing, then I used to have the Oxford, then I used to have nothing. Then I tried the SSL in parallel for a while, and that did well. And like all the little Zouai record is all the SSL, because that's kind of the sound of that stuff. And then lately I've been making maybe a little more dirtier records. So I've been pushing this a little, and I like it. I mean, these are all shades. Nobody is saying, oh yeah, the 2500 on this mix. Yeah, well,
that's where he really messed up the sound.
Yeah, this is pretty much the end of the world right there. But that's not, at this point, this is what I felt. I needed that. In theory, you should really start mixing into your compressor the minute you put transients through your mix, just so you don't end up with a pancake later. But because we have this, providential headroom here, everything is extremely civilized right now. So if we go towards the end of the song where it gets loud, interestingly, we're still basically in the same realm, but maybe now we can go back 1 dB on the limiter and give ourselves back the headroom, since we're not trying to make an insanely loud hip-hop record. This is cool.
Well, and especially too, because like the Neve and the ATR were already giving you some of that glue action too. So
absolutely,
you've been mixing into some colors, and then you kind of hear an opportunity to give it a little bit more. So it's kind of the perfect time to adjust on a global level, as opposed to swimming upstream and adjusting having to automate the drums or do something else to give you that effect.
Yeah, and also this is not. We're going to mix this 100-track song in 2 hours. It's not like we're not necessarily super detail oriented. It's a broad strokes vibe. But if you check it out, this is without the Neve. So with the Neve, then without the Neve and the ATR.
Of every man, happiness, footprints in the sand.
Sounds totally dull with the two of them.
Of every man, happiness, footprints in the sand. Suffering just for a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man.
Inspires me to do a little some. I like how everything sits. I just would be very interested to know what happens if I give a little bit of transient action back on the kick.
Of every man, happiness, footprints in the sand. Suffering just for a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man.
Just a tiny little pock.
Of every man, happiness, footprints in the sand.
That's one option. The other option, which I've been thinking about for a moment, is to
Oh, he's finally doing it. He's finally doing it. I see it.
I'm not doing it loud. So my key commands are all out of my mind, so I'm just going to do it in a way that I know is going to be great. Here you go. Yes, definitely. And I want to put the 160 on this. No, wrong place. 160, and take this out. So now we're gonna assign this guy to the 160 and this guy to the 160, and we're gonna listen to the 160. Parallel compression on just the drums.
And needs a nemesis, a desert that he cannot cross. To keep the soul in wonder, the belly must have hunger. He needs the vultures.
Gives that punch on the bass drum that I'm looking for. So because there's so much stuff going on, let me mute other stuff so that we can hear. Without. Sounds like this by itself. So it's adding that transient to the bass drum because the 160 itself is a slow compressor, right? And so it's not fast enough to catch that transient. It catches right after. So with the compression, the transient becomes interestingly sounding more prominent, and then you blend that back in, and then it's pretty nice. I can even compress it a little more. With the drums and that. Yeah. Let's get that.
Dude, the push.
He's got that really, he's got that real bad boy quality.
Yeah, it gives the kick in the rim just that little bit of knock.
Yeah, I'm very interested to know what would happen. You never know.
You never know.
You never know if I put the bass in it too. I don't know how to count to 160. Hold on, there you go. with the rest of the rhythm section. A little too thick. Without the 160 on the bass. No, it's going to be great. Just less of it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Okay, so that works. And let's look at do a first pass of looking at the strings and others, unless there's a question from my bewildered audience.
Dude, they're just watching in awe. I've actually checked in with the guys. It was like the chat seems really quiet. They're just all quietly watching and learning.
Okay.
Lots of people really loving the info and tips so far as well.
Okay, cool. So let's look at can we bring the strings into this vibe?
Mm-hmm.
We better.
We got them.
Every man needs a nemesis, a desert that he cannot cross. To keep the soul in wonder, the belly must have hunger. He needs the vultures. And every man needs an Everest, a mountain that he cannot climb. To keep the head humble, the hands from trouble. You can't be comfortable. Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering will serve a purpose.
All right, so I don't think we can be that literal on the strings. I think that we need to do a little.
Gonna have to pop them up a little bit, right?
Yeah, or pop them down. Like
Mhm.
give them a reason to complain. So let's see. I'm thinking just like yeah. Hold on. There was one of the tapes. There you go. That is lame. Let's try the lame thing. So that's more like it.
So that's just going. You went to what, a 3.5 inches
3.5, like the slowest possible speed,
Mhm.
and the smallest possible tape.
And then pushing it, cranking
Pushing
the
it
record
as hard as
is-
possible on the input. Yeah.
Yeah. It just
Why not?
it chills them out in such a cool way, like instantly.
Yeah. Let's see if the low impedance works here too. Oddly enough, it sounds more real now,
Mm-hmm.
which is not supposed to be that, but so we need compression to make it even more like so I think actually a 2500 on this would do great.
Happiness has left her footprints in the
What I do. Let me see what's going on.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering will serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. And that's the curse of every man.
So that's clearly too much.
Happiness has left her footprints in the sand. Suffering will serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man. Every man needs an element, a fear that he may lose control.
That is the best part of the whole song. When the orchestra comes on that part that Louis improvised, that's pretty awesome. I want to get perspective from the beginning. Oh yeah. So those little lines are just not loud enough. Let's see. Who are you and what is he to you? This violas, I think it's the high strings that I'm, this guy. I think this guy needs to be louder.
Every man needs a nemesis.
Make it a little louder. Last night, I muted this cello part. It just felt like a little too happy. Let's see the violas. I like it better without the violas.
It's actually kind of where like thinness helps it, right? Where like kind of going down to just a smaller part playing that.
It was a little too pretty, I think. And then this, but when the violas, when they hit the note at the end, the violas are cool.
Every man needs a nemesis, a desert that he cannot cross. To keep the soul in wonder, the belly must have hunger. He needs the vultures. And every man needs an every.
So that synth is bananas, but it needs to be quieter here. The things you only find out with distance.
Every man needs an Everest, a mountain. Every man needs an Everest, a mountain that he cannot climb. To keep the head humble, the hands from trouble, you can't be comfortable.
Well, it's a little loud here. So we are going to bring him down a little bit in that one moment.
Of course,
Here.
there's like 5 different ways to do it, right? You can
Yes.
change the volume on the tracks. You can change the clip. You can change the volume of the group.
What's important is to keep it consistent. so that when you want to change it later, you know where it is.
Yep, exactly.
Otherwise, it's an endless game of treasure hunt.
It's like, where did it?
Not climb,
Yeah, something is racing.
not climb. To keep the head humble, the hands from trouble. You can't be comfortable.
I dig that. Let me check what this is doing.
Not climb. To keep the head humble, the hands from trouble. You can't be comfortable. Happiness has left its footprints in the sand. Suffering is sort of purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man.
I think I'm going to get rid of that one synth hit.
At the end of the chorus, or
Yeah, just to make like, whoa, which one is it?
Is that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every
That one.
man. Every man needs an element, a fear that he may lose control. To keep the heart sacred.
Would be what if there were no?
That's the curse of every man needs an element, a fear that he may lose control.
Don't tell Louis, but I'm going to get rid of this.
little tambo shake into the verse.
Yeah, I think we're going to keep it stark.
Mm-hmm.
Not because Stark was French. That's not why.
Man. Every man needs an element, a fear that he may lose control. To keep the heart sacred, escape the mazes, you must be vulnerable. Happiness has left the footprints in the sand. Suffering serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand.
So I love the vibe that the low impedance gives, or maybe it's the tape. I haven't decided yet.
Mm-hmm.
On the strings, but I think it's just too much. It's distracting. Every time now I'm feeling,
Mm-hmm.
it feels too much. So let's figure out what it is. I think it's probably was the low impedance. Let's see in the sauce.
Happiness has left the footprints in the sand. Suffering serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man needs an element, a fear that he may lose control. To keep the heart sacred, escape the mazes, you must be vulnerable. Happiness.
So let's see if the sauce would help.
Serve a purpose that I'm yet to understand. That's the curse of every man needs an element, a fear that he may lose control. To keep Keep the heart sacred. Escape the mazes. You must be vulnerable.
I'm thinking that for the pickup, and you'll see it here, the pickup to the second chorus, that maybe this is cool.
Keep the mazes. You must be vulnerable.
But we don't need the full arsenal. And especially not the clarinets. And there's
Vulnerable. Vulnerable.
it's a better look.
Vulnerable. Happiness has left the footprints in the sand. Suffering serve a purpose that
I think I know what's bothering me. What's bothering me is this stuff is not grooving right. Let's see. Sorry.
Fab, just a quick time check here. I've got to
Oh.
wrap up here pretty soon.
I'm just getting started.
We're just getting to the good stuff, but from this point, it seems like we're kind of getting
censorship.
into
It's censorship. It's censorship.
Yep, exactly. It's a man trying to keep you down. But from here, it's kind of fine. We've seen kind of the broad strokes, and now it's kind of details and elements. And I love seeing how thinning out because you're still able to play with the arrangement side of things while also automating and mixing, and kind of bringing all these elements together to create a cohesive thing, right?
Yes. Well, at this point, because I'm happy with the tones of everything, the idea is that I'm going to squeeze, in this part of the process, my job is to squeeze every ounce of interest and vibe and drama out of it without losing the pocket and without losing Louis's presence and the the spirit of the song. So what I was going to show is this. I think that the chorus will benefit from not having this at all, and let the strings be the strings and the woodwinds. I'll use the clarinets for the pickup. That's cute. But actually it's benefiting, it's contributing to we don't have the downbeat, so we may have to lose those two. We'll see. And this gotta go. Et voila. So what do we propose we do with the time we have? How much time do we have?
I can't. Technically,
we
I'm
don't
a little
have
bit,
any time.
Yeah, technically, I'm a little bit late to the shoot already.
All right. So should we see if Louis wants to come down and listen with us? And obviously, I'm not done mixing this, so I'm going to mix. I'm going to finish this mix, and then this very session is going to go on Spotify. Well, the result, the stereo export from this very session is going to go to Spotify, and you guys will be able to listen to this final song on Spotify. We're also going to make this into a Luna session.
Yeah.
An artist session that you'll be able to download. So
you
be
guys
able
will be able to
have,
get there and get your fingers dirty with all Fab's settings.
And then with all the settings and all the MIDI, and we'll also print the violins for those of you who don't have the Spitfire stuff.
Yep.
And we'll print the synth for those of you who don't have the. I think it was you have Shape, so everybody has Shape. So we'll leave the MIDI for that. And you'll have a raw session and a session with all the plugins. Voila. So I'm going to keep working on this now.
Yeah, keep fine tuning on it. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I have to do the bridge still. We haven't even listened to the bridge. But before we go, is there one burning question?
Let me look. Want to make sure. For the Apollo setup that you're working with right now, it's, if I'm correct, it's two X16s and a X4, correct?
That's it. And the reason, yes. And the reason why I have the two X16s is because every synth you see in the back of this room and also on the side that you don't see is connected in real time to the back of an X16 with a bump box, which means that if I want to play my CS80, I turn it on and I play it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to launch anything because the console lets me play real time. And also I can process my synths on the way into any DAW. So if it's me working, they said they're going to be right now, since anything live I will do with Luna. If whomever Frank Ocean comes in this room, he plugs his computer in or whatever DAW he uses, and then he has access to all the synths in real time. That's why I have the two X16s in here.
Nice. Really important question. When is this expected for release on Spotify?
No later than very soon.
I knew that. There were some good comments right at the beginning of the show. People were checking out Nesreen's record, which is on Spotify now.
It's starting to come out. I think there's Risala is out, the first single,
Mm-hmm.
and then the whole album is coming out on the 30th. This is a great example to go to Spotify because you've heard it here in 320 decent quality thing. Go listen to it on Spotify and compare.
Yeah.
See what Spotify is doing to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that one there was no difference really between what we showed on the show and what went to Spotify.
The file that came out of the export that came out of Luna is
Mm-hmm.
what is on Spotify as promised. There was no mastering, nothing. I just sent what you last saw on the show is on Spotify.
Yeah, that's rad.
And yeah, it's cool.
Nice.
But you see that it adds its own vision of your mix on Spotify.
It does.
It's an interesting moment every time for me.
Right. Yeah. Nice. Well, yeah, Fab, man, this has been really cool to see this process unfold in real time, not just today, but overall for seeing how the song all comes together. And then super interesting to see how you bring all these elements together and with just like, little touches, man. It is so cool to see how like little processing it takes to bring that detail and clarity to the tracks. But it's just, you can tell it's just it's the consideration that you're putting in for each one of them that kind of helps them stand out in their own way.
Yeah, it's easier when you have Louis, but unless you're doing sound design or unless you're really, really screwed up while you were doing the production, you shouldn't have to do too much. Why reinvent the wheel? You just want it to be sublimized or like enhanced, but there's no need to go for the other side of the planet. And the only other side of the planet here is those strings because they need to be so striking. That's why this is a heavier processing that I would do on strings. But it's cool. They bring a nice vibe.
Nice. Awesome. Well, Fab, man, thank you so much for taking us through this today, and really stoked with not only where the mix is now, but I'm also stoked to hear the final after you and Louis get together and kind of polish it up. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Hope you guys learned a lot. This was a really great experience to see mixing in action happening completely live. And if you guys still have questions about Luna 1.1, some of the new features, Thursday morning we're going to be doing a deep dive show. Me, Matt, and Drew are going to go through all the different features, try to explain absolutely every element of all those features. So if you have any questions about session versions, bookmarks, track groups, MIDI sync, or just anything that was new here in 1.1, we're going to be covering all that in detail Thursday morning at 10 a.m. So be sure to tune in for that show. And with that, thank you everybody for joining us, and everybody have a great rest of your day. Peace.